UFC Fight Night San Diego Vera versus Cruz takes place this weekend, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Ariane Lipski versus Priscila Cachoeira. We predicted this fight last weekend, but it never ended up happening. I'm still going to be going with Ariane Lipski here over Priscila Cachoeira. I just don't really rate any of the wins that Priscila Cachoeira has in the UFC. She has wins over, Yi Yeon Kim, who hasn't been doing too well recently, and then she's got a win over Gina Mazzani, Shayna Dobson. Not too many great names, whereas she's lost to names like Molly McCann, Luana Carolina, Gillian Robertson took her down and submitted her. So I can see Ariane Lipski getting this one to the ground and finding herself a submission victory in the first or second round. You just got to look at the Luana Carolina fight. They fought her around the same time. She ended up beating Priscila Cachoeira, whereas Ariane Lipski took her down and dominated her on the ground and submitted her quite easily. So I'm going to be going with Ariane Lipski to start off the card. Let's move on to another fight. Jason Witt versus Josh Quinlan. Another fight that was supposed to take place last weekend, but Josh Quinlan tested positive for another roid, and they just allow that in the UFC nowadays if you are a prospect for them. So Josh Quinlan, sourced to the gills. I reckon he gets this one done. He has roids in his system, and I think that's going to be the advantage that he has over Jason Witt. If I was Jason Witt, I'd sue him for that, because I'm not going to trust USADA's word to tell me if something's this or something's that. Yeah, sure, he's got roids in his system, but they don't do anything. Trust us. So I'm not going to trust that whatsoever. That makes me even more confident in Josh Quinlan, that he's still got them coursing through his body. He's a massive prospect for the UFC. He's very marketable, undefeated. I think he's going to go out there and get a first round KO victory over Jason Witt, who has had a bit of a chin issue in his fights. He looked good against Brian Barberena, but Barberena doesn't really have that power. He has to overwhelm you. Anyone with that fast twitch fiber that's going to be able to land early and often and hard and powerful, I feel like they're going to get it done over Jason Witt. And I think Josh Quinlan is one of those fighters, especially with that M3 metabolite in his system. Josh Quinlan gets this one done. Moving on up the card, Youssef Zalal versus Damon Blackshear. I'm going to be going with Youssef Zalal here. Damon Blackshear is not even a bad underdog in this matchup, I'll be honest with you guys. He's a pretty good pick because he is a good regional fighter. However, people forget how young Youssef Zalal is, and was when he was even having these fights early in his career. He took on some tough challenges in his career, lost a couple of them, like he had a very close fight with Sungwoo Choi, had a split decision with Sean Woodson, who's now gone on to do great things. Ilia Topuria, of course, is now going on to do great things, and he lost a decision there as well, which was more clear than the other two against Choi and Woodson. But either way, he's beaten some good opponents in his career. Very close decisions here and there. He normally does make it a close decision, but I think I can trust him not to get finished against Damon Blackshear. Damon Blackshear, I feel like whenever there's a tough, good fighter who can make it the distance against him, even if they are mediocre, I reckon he can get the job done against him. Danny Sabatello beat him. I'm not saying Danny Sabatello's mediocre. He's very good, but, Pat Sabatini beat him. Chris Matinho was able to tough it out early on and get the win over him as well. It just feels like there's a level of fighter that can stay composed and not get finished, and I feel like they can beat people like Damon Blackshear. So I'm going to be going with Youssef Zalal. Damon Blackshear, 27 years of age, a young fighter, but then again, Youssef Zalal, 25. Took a bit of time off since his last loss in 2021. Going to be looking to come back in there and show some improvements. And I like that he took some time off to evaluate himself. They said they'd probably give him one more chance after he went on a 3-fight losing streak. He was very active before that. So I'm glad we'll hopefully see some massive improvements from Zalal. A young fighter at a good gym, Factory X Muay Thai. I'm going to be going with Youssef Zalal getting this one done. Moving on up the card to another fight, Angela Hill versus Lupita Godinez. I'm going to be going with Lupita Godinez here over Angela Hill. I do not see Angela Hill getting this win whatsoever. I feel like she's going to get taken down over and over again. She does have some decent takedown defense, and, maybe on the feet she can give Lupita Godinez some problems, but I feel like options win, and Lupita Godinez has the options here. Angela Hill's not going to be shooting takedowns or keeping down Lupita Godinez, so I think I'm pretty good to trust Lupita Godinez to go out there, mix up the takedowns with the striking. She's shown good boxing as well. It's not like she has no idea what she's doing on the feet. She's got good boxing, good skill there. The only time she's really lost in the UFC so far is taking on bigger opponents. The loss to Jessica Penne that she took on short notice doesn't look too good in hindsight, I'll be honest with you guys. But I feel like now at strawweight, after that loss to Luana Carolina, after trying to move up, she's found herself. She beat Luma Lookboom, who's a very good fighter, who had a very close decision with Angela Hill recently as well, a while ago, to be honest with you. And she had a very dominant win over Ariane Canellosi. So I feel as though I'm going to be going with Lupita Godinez getting the win over Angela Hill, boxing her up on the feet here and there. Hill having some success, and then Lupita Godinez shooting a takedown over and over again and just mixing in the grappling. I reckon Lupita Godinez 30-27 over Angela Hill, and maybe then they'll cut her from the UFC. I have no idea. She'll probably be the face of Venom after this loss. Moving on, up the card, Ode Osbourne versus Tyson Nam. Ode Osbourne first round KO. I think this is a logical bet to make. I'll be honest with you, a very logical bet to make. Ode Osbourne, Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam did have like a little bit of a mini spree of doing quite good in matchups. I mean, you know, he KO'd Zaruk Adashev in the first round and made it look quite easy there. Or did he KO him in the second round? I'm not even too sure. But he had like a little bit of a streak against very low-level competition where he was doing quite good. He beat Zaruk Adashev by first round KO, beat Jerome Rivera by second round TKO. What do you know? Ode Osbourne beat Jerome Rivera by first round KO. Beat Zaruk Adashev by first round KO. Very similar opponents there, but that's flyweight. A little bit of a small community. I'm going to be going with Ode Osbourne. I think he's younger, going to be making more improvements, has all of the physicality advantages here in this matchup as well. It's 38 years of age for Tyson Nam. That's no age for a flyweight. Even I'm worried about Figueiredo getting a little bit too old because he's becoming like 35. So 38 years of age, taking on a young up-and-comer in Ode Osbourne. 4 inches of reach advantage as well in that first round. So I'm definitely going to be going with Ode Osbourne getting this one done over Tyson Nam by first round TKO. Moving on up the card, Gabriel Benitez versus Charlie Ontiveros. Ontiveros getting another chance, of course. Gabriel Benitez, I reckon, will get this win. Ontiveros is good. But man, that loss to Steve Garcia Jr. is not looking good because Steve Garcia Jr. looked like a terrible fighter in his recent performances. So, you know, whatever you want to say about the Kevin Holland loss, sure, he had a moment where he caught him with some crazy, I think he caught him with like a spinning back fist and then like an axe kick. And he does throw some crazy stuff, but I just don't see him getting a quick and easy KO over Gabriel Benitez. We've seen that you need to be a Billy Quarantillo. Omar Morales grinded it out in a tough decision. Then you've got David Onama getting it done. He's fighting on this card as well. Sadiq Youssef, you know. I feel as though you've got to be something somewhat good to beat a guy like Gabriel Benitez, and I feel like Gabriel Benitez can beat the Charlie Ontiveroses of this world. So although it is a good underdog, if you want to put some money down by, you know, Charlie Ontiveros by first round KO, I'm sure there's some really good odds on that. You know, aka Gabriel Benitez. I think he's going to be okay to fight a Charlie Ontiveros and get his career back on track, and then lose to another hype train coming up. You know what I'm saying? Not this hype train. You know what I mean? They're not all going to be hype trains. I feel like Gabriel Benitez can hold the gates one more time, get a little bit of a finish here after a crazy first round, not get put away, maybe get dropped or hurt in the first, and then bounce back, and I reckon get like a late second round TKO against a cage over Charlie Ontiveros. Gabriel Benitez gets this one done. Moving on. Up the card, Lukasz Brzeski versus Martin Buday. I'm going to be going with Martin Buday over Lukasz Brzeski. I feel like Lukasz Brzeski, he's alright, but technique-wise, I didn't really like what I was seeing from him on the feet. I feel like he was maybe on a bit of the sauce over at his regional show, and now that he's came over to the Contender Series, he didn't look like the same guy. I'm just going to be honest with you, did not look like the same guy. And what do you know? Wow, I actually didn't even know that. I actually didn't even know that. I've just remembered that now. What did I just say? Looked like he was maybe on the sauce over in, you know, over in his regional shows at Babylon MMA, and didn't look like the same guy over at the Contender Series. Just seen it now. That fight was overturned because of a positive steroid test. 2 of them on this card, Josh Quinlan and Lukasz Brzeski. If you are a prospect, they do not care. And Lukasz Brzeski Maybe he comes in sauce to the gills, but I think he's just a little bit too small of a heavyweight, 234 pounds. I think he would be much better fitted at the light heavyweight weight class. Maybe he's not technically good enough to be in that weight class yet, but I just feel as though the big, strong, 35-pound weight advantage Martin Buday is going to be able to hold him up against the cage and play that game and just wear him out against the cage. So I'm going to go with a Martin Buday third round TKO, mainly due to the exhaustion of Lukasz Brzeski. Martin Buday gets this one done. Moving on, up the card to the main card. I'm going to actually use the UFC schedule for this one. No, I'm not. I'm going to continue on this. I can't trust that billion-dollar company schedule. Let me trust Tapology instead. Yazmin Jauregui versus Iasmin Lucindo. I'm going to be going with Yazmin, undefeated. And I've watched her last two fights. She seems to do better against better competition. And I like to see that from a younger fighter coming up. You know, you always say, oh, she's younger, so she's going to be improving more. But she's not even younger, by the way. The other girl's 20 years of age. But at the same time, you like to see that rapid improvement. And I feel like there's a reason why we're not seeing so rapid of improvement from the other girl. She hasn't really fought the best of competition. She's had a couple of decent fights here and there against decent opponents, but it's been a little bit of a yo-yoing career. They've both had a lot of fights in a very short amount of time, and I feel as though the 2 in a night over a 5-0 Priscila Godinez and then Claire Lopez 6-3, both by first round TKO, riding that momentum. She took a year now since that moment to sort of regather herself. She's going to have the confidence from that tournament. She went on a 3-fight win streak in, and I think she's going to make massive improvements. She was supposed to debut against Estela Nunes, and in comes Iasmin Lucindo. So I'm going to be going with Yazmin Jauregui because she knew about the fight for longer, and I feel like undefeated, more consistent. I reckon she'll get this one done. Wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset here, though, because we don't know much about either of them. Either way, moving on. Up the card, Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo. I'm going to be going with Cynthia Calvillo. This is another rescheduled fight that was supposed to happen earlier. Nina Nunes is just, you know, Amanda Nunes' bitch at this point. I just don't really feel like she's really focused on her own career. 36 years of age. I know she's on a great contract. I really do. She's on a really good contract for money, so I feel like she's just sort of showing up and saying to Amanda, like, look, honey, I'm making money as well. You know what I mean? But in reality, you know, just shut up and fucking breastfeed, you know what I'm saying? But either way, I feel as though she's going to lose this fight, easily beaten by Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern don't really make it look easy against many Jandarobas, Marina Rodriguez's. Like, there's other opponents that really make it tough against her or beat her. So I feel like to lose so easily to Mackenzie Dern, I'm not going to trust you upper weight class against Calvillo, who also can grapple quite well. So I'm going to be going with Cynthia Calvillo. Maybe Nina Ansaroff can win this one on the feet, but Cynthia Calvillo, newer to the game of MMA, may not be that much younger. I think she's only a year younger than Nina Ansaroff. And, yeah, I feel like she's fought better competition recently. She's still got a hustle, like she wants to be the best, whereas Nina Nunes has been sort of on and off in terms of her career. So I'm going to trust the commitment of Cynthia Calvillo a little bit more, and I'm going to say she gets this one done by decision, 29-28, maybe after a tough first round. She starts pulling ahead. Moving on, up the card, Devin Clark versus Azamat Murzakanov. This one is quite interesting, but I'm going to go with Azamat Murzakanov. But this is not just, he's Murzakanov, pick him, he sounds like a Dagestani name. This isn't that at all. I just feel as though Devin Clark, you know, some of his losses haven't aged too well. Easy loss to Anthony Smith, and then lost to Ion Cutelaba as well. That's not even a good aged loss either, because Cutelaba's been losing here and there, including to Murzakanov at a Sambo tournament when they were both in the regional part of their career. Murzakanov messed him the F up in a Sambo tournament in the start of their careers. Knocked him down about 5 or 6 times. So, Azamat Murzakanov stand-up's definitely a different level. Even the win over William Knight, I mean, William Knight is just a roid munching monster, in all honesty, and he has no real skill to his game. So I feel as though we're going to see Azamat Murzakanov be a little bit better in the clinch. I don't see him getting taken down. I don't see grappling happening too much also whatsoever. I do worry about the way the Tafon Chukwi fight was looking. I do, but Tafon and Chukwi's kind of a bit of a hit or miss type fighter, and I'm definitely going to be going with Azamat Murzakanov here. I trust him to win. He's got good stand-up, good grappling, and I feel like Devin Clark's been around for so long, taken so much damage. I'm going to trust trusting an Azamat Murzakanov win. Risky, though. Devin Clark is dangerous. He's a powerful guy. I just can see Azamat. If Cutelaba can hurt you on the feet, the guy that was whooping Cutelaba's ass on the feet is going to be able to hurt you on the feet as well. So I think I'm going to go with Azamat Murzakanov getting a TKO in the first round in a firefight. Moving on. Up the card. Gerald Meerschaert versus Bruno Silva. Lock of the card, in my opinion. Not like Jared Vandeira. Not one of them locks of the cards. This is actually a lock of the card. Bruno Silva, Gerald Meerschaert. GM3, he's a middleweight, so it's tough because sometimes you see a middleweight win and you think, oh, they can actually fight. They know what they're doing. And then you see them fight, you know, anyone of some level of somewhat skill. And it's like, oh, wait, they can't fight. They're just a middleweight. So it's tough. I'm definitely going to be going with Bruno Silva, though. I feel as though, you know, you can look at the Muradov loss, but you can also see, like, you know, Muradov was kind of overlooking him, swinging a bunch of shots in that first round, eventually started getting caught back a little bit as well. I don't see Bruno Silva getting sort of ahead of himself in this matchup. He just had a tough fight with Alex Pereira, which aged very well, seeing as Pereira just destroyed Sean Strickland on the feet. He beat Jordan Wright pretty easily on the feet, took a couple of blows, landed a bunch of them back, and got the finish there as well. He beat Andrew Sanchez, who ran a wrestling game on him. I feel as though Gerald Meerschaert's going to try and wrestle him up against the cage, but Bruno Silva, you know, he turned his back, he tucked his arms in, kept his knees tucked, stopped the back take from happening, worked his way up so many times in that fight against Andrew Sanchez, showed such a good gas tank. I can see GM3 ragdolling him in the first, taking him down a bunch in the first, getting knee to the body, punch to the body and stuff like that, and then Bruno Silva works his way back up. Round 2, similar story, but GM3 starts completing less of the takedowns. Bruno Silva starts hurting him to the body, punching him here and there, hurting him on the feet a couple of times as well, stuffing the takedowns a bit easier, beating him up towards the end of round 2. I can see a third round TKO from Bruno Silva. Heaven forbid the GM3 guillotine comes back out of nowhere, but he just didn't look like a capable fighter in his last 2 performances, even against Stoltzfus, who just won, but even still against Stoltzfus, he didn't even look good. So I'm going to trust in Bruno Silva getting this one done. Moving on. Up the card, David Onama versus Nate the Train. Nate the Train in the UFC. Clarksville. Stain it. Nate the Train, baby. I really want Nate the Train to win, but he's not going to win. And that's just an unfortunate reality that we all have to face. And it's sad. It's very sad. I love Nate the Train. I really do. I've been paying attention to him for a long time. I was screaming Nate the Train in his debut fight, but then he got smacked up by Herbert Burns. But, yeah. I was watching him at M1. He was looking great. I saw a video of him. There's like a highlight video of him on YouTube. Nate the Train highlights. And it wasn't even like highlights of his fights almost. It was just like highlights of him screaming backstage at events and stuff and stuff like that. I think it's this one maybe. Yeah, Nate the Train at Landwehr MMA highlights 2014. There were some moments from his fights, but then a lot of it was just him screaming backstage, like all this types of nonsense. And I really wanted him to do well, but I feel as though he gets hit too easily in the first round. There's a lot of opportunities in the first round. I see this one a lot like David Onama, Nate Landwehr. I see it a lot like Luque versus Neal, but Onama's perceived better anyway, technically. Even though people sort of overestimated Luque because of some of the wins that he has. I see this the same way. Landwehr don't move his head much early on. Straight shots from David Onama are going to get through. He didn't look good in his last fight, but I think that was because of the takedown threat. I don't see Nate Landwehr trying to work takedowns in this fight. I really don't. So I feel as though we're going to see a vintage Onama. Nate the Train trying to get things done, move his head and try and look slick, but getting caught a bunch of times. And I think we're going to see a first round at TKO from David Onama towards the end of the first round against the cage, combination punches. I think this is going to be similar to the Gabriel Benitez fight. I just think Nate the Train is just a little bit too wacky for his own good, and I think Onama's going to be composed and land the crisp shots that he needs to. Maybe the moment gets to him, because let's not forget this, I think this might be the first time that Onama's going to be fighting in front of a crowd. I'll double check that right now. He may have fought on a pay-per-view. No, I think this is going to be the first time he's fought in front of a crowd. I'll be honest with you. I think it is. So this is going to be interesting, but I'm still going to side with David Onama. Oh, the crowd. Nate the Train and the crowd. He vibes off the crowd. That's changed my confidence levels, but I'm still going Onama by TKO. That has changed my confidence levels a lot, though. That was a real good pick from me, Onama. Onama wins. I wouldn't be surprised if the odds change now if they start considering that. And it becomes a little bit closer of a fight. Because Nate the Train, crowd makes him better. But with Onama, it might not be the same. But I'm going to be going with David Onama by TKO in the first. Nate the Train takes too long to get going. I don't think you can take too long to get going against a guy like David Onama. Moving on. Up the card, Marlon Vera versus Dominick Cruz. I'm going to be going with Marlon Vera getting this one done by TKO in the 4th round. It's going to be extremely tough to watch. Extremely tough to watch. I'm actually going to go Dash choke for Marlon Vera in the 4th round. A lot of times when Dominick Cruz gets hurt, he shoots a single leg and he tries to sort of come up on a takedown and stuff like that. I can see Marlon Vera sprawling it, locking up the Das, rolling him over. I can just see Cruz's face. Eyes like wide up in like a different direction, like just out cold in a choke, not tapping. He's out. It's over. What a veteran. What an absolute savage. He didn't tap or anything like that, but I can see Marlon Vera eventually getting him. I think if this was a 3-rounder, first of all, the odds wouldn't be the same if it was a 3-rounder. But if it was a 3-rounder and the odds were the same, I'd probably take Dominick Cruz as the underdog. 2-1. First 2 rounds, Cruz wins. 3rd round, he gets hurt but survives. Still a 10-9 round because he was doing good at the start. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. But I think there's going to be too many opportunities in a 5-rounder for Vera to land a couple of good leg kicks, land a couple of good body kicks, land some good kicks to the arms of Cruz and some head kicks and stuff like that. And I just feel as though he's going to hurt him too much in a 5-rounder, and I think he's going to leave some opportunities for him to land the shots that he needs to. Plus, with Dominick Cruz, I know he's sort of like shown that he's been healthy in his last few fights. With a guy as injury-prone as him, Vera's not the type of guy to fight injured. With a guy as injury-prone as Dominick Cruz, you're sort of gambling every time. Is he going to be injured? No, he's not in the Casey Kenny fight. Okay. No, he's not injured in the Pedro Munoz fight. I think we might see a bit more of a beaten up Cruz. I think he knows that this training camp needs to be under high pressure. He needs to be able to take damage in this fight as well. So wouldn't be surprised if we see the return of ankle wrap Cruz. And I think Marlon Vera is going to lose the 1st round, lose the 2nd round, start landing some leg kicks towards the end of the 2nd, win the 3rd round maybe in a very close round and make it a bit interesting, maybe hurt Dominick Cruz at the end of the round and take him down for a 2nd and beat him up as Cruz is getting back up to his feet, and then that's like a big moment for Marlon Vera. And then round 4, I think we're going to see him hurt Cruz bad, start landing some big shots. Cruz gets back up, tries swinging back at him. They both sort of separate, give each other some time. Vera starts chopping at his legs. Vera hurts Cruz again with a big shot to the head, like a head kick or a big punch followed by something. Like he throws a head kick, it's blocked, and he blasts a big punch down the pipe and it cracks Cruz, and down goes Cruz again. And then he starts landing some big shots on Cruz to the side of his head with hammer fists. Cruz tries shooting a takedown. Vera sprawls it. Dash chokes him up and subs him in round 4. I reckon Marlon Vera gets this one done by 4th round finish. Cruz is going to put up a good fight, but I just feel like it's a little bit too much. And people are underestimating, every single time they do this, just how much of a weight bully Marlon Vera is. Just how much of a weight bully this man is. You'll see it this weekend against Cruz. He's a massive guy for the division. A massive guy. He's got long arms as well. 70.5 inches of reach, 5'8". He's got really long legs too, and I feel like he's going to look like a massive human in there against Dominick Cruz, and I think people are going to start to take him seriously as a threat towards some of the top guys of that division. Aldo could keep him honest because Aldo has that level of power. I don't think Cruz has that level of power. Neither did Rob Font, and that's why I picked him to do the same thing to Rob Font, because I just think you need some real aggressive steam in your shots to keep him honest, like O'Malley was doing before the perennial nerve kick, and even like Jan would maybe do in a matchup between them as well. So I think Marlon Vera gets this one done by 4th round submission. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.